Last lesson, we have had a brief preview of the Firebase Console when we created a project and registered the web app. But as we have discussed in the previous lessons, Firebase has a lot of features and all of it can be configured and viewed in the Firebase Console. What we have seen so far of the Firebase Console is just the tip of the iceberg. We have yet to see the features that we have discussed previously. For us to be able to make use of those features, we must be familiar with the Firebase Console. So in this lesson, we will be having a walkthrough of the Firebase Console UI. This will help you navigate through the console easily, making your work a bit faster. And it will also help focus on your coding instead of wasting time trying to find the config in the console. To start things off, let's go to the Firebase website and click on the Go to Console. We will be redirected on this page, which shows the list of our projects you currently have. You can see here the option to create a new project, and on the top right corner, there's the standard Google account badge where you can manage your Google accounts. And just to its left is the alert bell. There's also this link, Go to Docs, and when you click on it, it will open a new tab to the Firebase documentation. And this page will be helpful to you as well if you want to quickly view specific information on using Firebase SDK. Going back to the Firebase console, there's not really much to discuss here on the Firebase project page. But if we click on a project like this is what awaits us. But we're not. We are going to discuss each part of this main console so you won't get lost. So this is the project overview page. Each of your projects have one of these. As you can see, on the left side is the standard navigation column, and here on the top left is the project selector. Again, each project has its own console, so if you want to configure other projects, then this is where you go. If you click on it, it will show a drop-down menu with options See All Projects, Add the Project, and then the list of all your projects. See All Projects will just redirect you to the Firebase project page, and Add the Project is just the same as clicking the button on the first page. And the top right section has the same components as the previous page, and here is the project title. On its right is your current billing plan. You may click on that if you want to view or change your billing plan. And below the project title are the apps that are registered to the specific project. As a recall, multiple apps can be linked to a single project, so this is the place where you will see your linked app. So there's also Add App here. You may click on the badge of your linked app to configure it. The gear icon does not really redirect you to that specific app's config, but rather redirect you to the project settings itself. Here's the project settings, and just below are the settings for your project's linked apps, so don't get confused between those two. And if for some reason you want to delete your project, just scroll down to the bottom and you will see a delete project button here. There's also a remove this app button if you want to unlink a specific app from the project. There are also other tabs in this page which we will not be touching in this course to avoid confusion. So to go back to the project overview page, you can click on this navigation item. Now let's proceed with the build category. Please don't get confused in this item since this item is collapsible, and it's the same with the release and monitor, analytics, and engage. So if it is hidden, just click on them. For the build, there's the authentication, where you can manage your app's users, sign-in methods, email and password recovery templates, and the usage statistics of some of the sign-in providers. Going back to the sign-in method tab, this is where we can choose the sign-in providers that we will use for our apps. Some of them are free and unlimited, while some of them has usage quota, like the phone authentication provider. You can also configure here the domains you want to allow to use authentication service. And then, there's this advanced section where you can either enable or disable multiple accounts with the same email and manage a sign-up quota. Let's move on to Firestore database. If you haven't created a Firestore database yet, you may create one with this button. If you already have a Firestore database, then this is what it looks like. There are 4 tabs. The Data tab, where you can create collection and documents. Rule tab, where we can set the rules for our database. Indexes tab, for setting up indices for complex queries. And lastly, Usage tab, where we can monitor our billables and subscription metrics. Moving to Realtime Database. As you might have noticed, it is similar to the Firestore database. They even have the same tabs, so if you know how to navigate Firestore database, then most probably you won't have a problem navigating this page. So let's move forward to the storage. Storage allows you to manage your uploaded files, and similar to Firestore databases, it has also Rules tab, where you can set the rules for the storage access, and of course the Usage tab for monitoring your storage quota. Then, on Hosting page, you will be able to set the hosting settings of your linked web apps. However, we will not be discussing this right now, but we will go back here when we test deploy an application later in the course. And for the functions, as you can see, it requires us to upgrade our plan to be able to access its settings, but later in the course, we will be using a local emulator so that we can still create cloud functions without upgrading our plan during development. And lastly, for the build category, there's the Machine Learning tab, where we can configure our project to use Google's machine learning capabilities, although this will not be applicable in our course, so we can skip it. Now, that's mostly all of the pages we will be dealing with for this course. The other features are used when you have completed your project and want to further monitor your app. With that in mind, we will not be discussing it in details to avoid information overload, but you can still explore it yourself if you are curious about its content. But for now, we will be concluding our walkthrough of Firebase Console.